I'm early today. It's Friday. Hey y'all, hey. What did I do? What did I do? I'm looking like a queen. I'm looking like an African queen today, y'all. Yes. I'm early today. But I'm also, hey V, how you doing? Happy Friday. Mwah, happy Friday to you. I am horizontal again. Let me see if I can do this. Okay, yeah, that'll work. I'm horizontal again because I just got off a Zoom call with my new manager, and I'm having a fantastic Friday. Yes, you see, I did a little head wrap today, a little head wrap action today, as Gina would say, head wrap ministry. I love her. She tickles me. I need to call her. Gina, if you are listening to this or looking at this, I need to catch up with you. We haven't talked in forever. V, how are you doing? What's going on? Thank you. Love you, love you. What's going on? Hey, Winslow, how you doing? It's good to see you. Hey, Cammy, thanks for connecting with me on LinkedIn. I saw that, that you joined. I was on a video call. I couldn't respond to you. And we're going to have, so I don't know if Elaine Montgomery will have the opportunity to join, but she is looking for a ghostwriter. So if y'all know anybody that's a ghostwriter, Cammy, if you know a ghostwriter, let me know. And Cammy, how are you doing? Today is the 26th. How are you doing with everything? I'm just checking in on you. Send me a private messenger and let me know. Y'all give me a thumbs up if you're glad it's Friday. Hey, it's Friday. So I want to tell you first that today we had scheduled for Senator Katrina Robinson to join us. Good. I'm glad to see y'all give me some thumbs up. That we had Senator Katrina Robinson scheduled to join us today for Live at Lunch. And hey, Deanna Douglas, how are you? Amen, Winslow. Glad to be seen and not being looked at. Woo, that's a blessing. That's right there. That's a shout moment right there alone. We could just focus on that alone. Winslow. So yes, thank you for that fantastically fresh perspective. But let me tell y'all this. Senator Katrina Robinson was my scheduled guest for today for Live at Lunch. And I am so unbelievably grateful. First of all, before I get to that, let me get to this. Who saw Live at Lunch on Wednesday? Who was tuned in with me at Live at Lunch on Wednesday when Reverend Dr. Rosalind Regina Nichols joined me? And it was amazing and dynamic. Who saw that? That's what I want to know. Who saw that? Y'all see that? Because you talk about amazing, dynamic. She is a business owner. She's a pastor. You all know. She has her own activism going on. She's a counselor. At some point she's going to be an author, but she gave us a fantastic lesson about Sabbath and then talked about the things that we need to get involved in and how we can learn to really make our local leaders that we elected be accountable. And so I'm excited about that. I thought that was great. She's just super smart and just also so down to earth, just a fantastic spirit and energy, and I learned from her. I learned something from her every single time we talk. So if you had a chance to see that, tell me what you thought. And if you missed it, you got to go back to Live at Lunch on Wednesday. I'm going to record, I'm going to upload that and put it on my YouTube channel too. And I was so grateful that she and I were making sure we stay connected through the end, because I think what she offered at the end about the church was also very important, especially to me with this being June. This is Pride Month, for people to understand and appreciate that there are churches in Memphis, a Black church in Memphis that has an open and affirming theology where all are truly welcome. Hey, Denise, and Freedom's Chapel Christian Church is one of those churches. So if you or someone that you know and love is in a position, and Pastor Roz used a full spectrum of examples that we are open to truly welcome, and they're not just welcome, they're wanted. We have recovering addicts. We have people that have been divorced. We have people that are LGBTQ plus. We have people that are straight and married with children. We have old people. We have young people. We have children, and we really want to continue to pursue our quest for love of Jesus Christ. And so I'm grateful that I had an opportunity to connect with her, with you all watching. She and I have conversations pretty regularly, which is one of the things I also love about her, that she's open to her congregants, that she doesn't want to get so big that she says she doesn't know who her people are, that she can literally touch them and know their name. That's important. That's special for me. I'm grateful for that. Cammie, yes. Okay. The Sabbath. Oh my gosh. The Sabbath discussion. I'm telling you. And if you go on, Cammie, on Thursdays at sunset, she does she'll go live on Thursdays before she's going into Sabbath to talk about the things that she's learned over the week and how she's going to apply them to her Sabbath. Phenomenal. So now for today, Senator Katrina Robinson was scheduled for today. And I am so grateful. Y'all, I'm going to tell you something I don't take for granted. When you ask someone to do something for you and they say yes, that's a wonderful feeling, right? But when you ask someone and I ask, some people are afraid to ask. I'm not afraid to ask, but I got a yes from every single guest that I asked to join me live at lunch. Grateful. And Senator Katrina Robinson personally, not her office, not her assistant, not an intern, she personally contacted me yesterday and told me that she had a scheduling conflict and that she asked if it was possible, even though she tried to move some things around to make it work today, if it was possible for us to reschedule. That is phenomenal leadership. This right here, just to have that, for her to personally contact me and she reached out to me, not from her official senator email. She personally reached out to me and said, oh my gosh, I tried to move some stuff around to make this happen and it's just not going to work. Can we reschedule? And then when I was like, of course, she was like, thank you so much. So gracious, so humble. I am so honored that she took the time out to recognize that her schedule had a conflict and that she wasn't going to make it today, and that she reached out personally to tell me. So I want you to know that while we won't have the benefit of connecting with Senator Katrina Robinson today, I will get it rescheduled, and we look forward to having that. Now, what I want to talk about is what's happening with us. So what I understand, because we didn't get a chance to have a talk. So now let's talk. Let's talk. Let's have a chitty chat. I want to know from y'all. Tell me what you think about these dang on rallies, because we haven't talked about the rallies. Can we say Tulsa? Wah, wah. Did y'all see? I had a friend who told me that they being the Trump campaign, a post on Craigslist, y'all, that showed that they were hiring actors. They were hiring actors to come in and hold up signs and look excited at $2.50 a pop, flat fee. Have y'all heard that? And then tell me what you think about the statues being taken down. I'm interested in knowing, these are current events. I'm interested in knowing what is happening with that. Tell me your thoughts. What do you want to talk about? Because we haven't had a chance to talk, because I have been talking to other people that I wanted you to hear from. And then let me say this to you while I'm waiting for you to give me your questions. July 7th is the deadline for registering to vote. If you have not registered to vote, please do not wait. Go ahead and do it today. And better yet, ask someone else if they have registered to vote. And if they have not registered to vote, go ahead and get them the information they need so they too can get registered. We are in critical time now. If we ever had a sense of absolute dire need for active, engaged participants in our judicial system, voting is going to be our vital key element to making sure that we not only create change, but that we see it all the way through in November. What's happening now is a phenomenal catalyst for there to be change. It's great. We just want to continue the momentum so that we can have some real change in our country. If you can even imagine how horrific it will be for American citizens if we continue with this same administration we have. Can you even imagine how horrific it will be? So I want to know from you. That's taking it from that's a national scale. So now I'm going to bring this down to an issue that is on the referendum for us to vote here in Shelby County. And if you're not a Shelby County resident, this still will have, hey, Charity, this will still have a direct impact with you because it could potentially happen in your city. We have one of the things on our referendum is, right, Charity? Oh my gosh. And people are, just like there's some people who are taking this coronavirus and not really giving it the credit that it deserves and not really taking it as serious as it is and understanding the brevity of it and are now going to be exposed and suffer because of it. I don't want that to happen for us with this presidency. We have got to get people to understand how important it is. These young adults now, I'm really concerned about some of them because they were exposed and now they're going to be sick and it's just unnecessary. That makes my heart heavy, especially since you all know that I lost my first cousin. I told Thomas Shop I wasn't going to say I lost, especially because you all know that my first cousin died from coronavirus. And while grateful for his life, I am frustrated that his life was lost because of that. And all the other 120,000 plus lives that have been lost as a result of that. And part of it is because we have a person in office who is making wearing masks political. What the heckle Jekyll and Hyde is that? How do you make wearing a mask and keeping other people safe political? Charity, what you say? Well, you know our people perish for lack of knowledge and wisdom is almost extinct. Whew. That's heavy right there, Charity. That's real heavy. When I tell you, I need for there to be, I've been praying for this, that we literally have 100% elimination of the ignorance that is bliss. And that we get deliverance. Hey, Lisa, that we literally get deliverance from the foolishness and focus on literally making this country better. Because people talk about how we want to go back. We can't go back. There's no normal back. What we need is a new normal forward. And so we've got to move forward. We've got to make progress, and voting is one of those key elements. So if you have not registered to vote, please register to vote. And if you know that you are registered and set, then please, and listen, go ahead. Don't wait. If you know that you're like me and you've been sheltering in place and you don't want to risk going out and being in a line waiting to vote in person, go ahead and ask for a mail-in ballot. It is perfectly fine to do that. It's well within your rights to do that as well. But encourage people to vote. July 7th is our last day. It's the deadline for registering to vote. And that is literally days away now. So if there's a sense of urgency you've ever felt from me, this is it for us to really make this push. And if you can get one other person to acknowledge that, yes, I'm going to vote, or yes, I haven't been registered to vote, because there are hundreds of thousands of young adults in Shelby County, Tennessee, who are eligible to vote, who are not yet registered. So we know that those numbers make a difference. So now, current, local, I said we were going to talk about Shelby County, and this may be something relevant in your city, state, or in your area. For police, I have 100% respect for police. I believe that we need law enforcement in our communities, and I think that they're a necessary part of what makes our cycle function, right, when it's done well. One of the things I can tell you is that there's a consideration right now for there to be, I don't know what they said, the referendum to be passed that Memphis Police Department officers can live outside of Shelby County, Tennessee. Now, imagine this, 50 miles. So just to put it in perspective for you, I work in Memphis City, Shelby County, but I live as a law enforcement officer outside, 50 miles outside of Shelby County. Hey, Anazola, how does that work for you? What are your thoughts? Do you, and this is not, don't limit yourself if you are not in Shelby County to say, this doesn't apply to me, because this is what I'm asking you. How do you feel, and would you agree with your law enforcement officer living 50 miles outside of where they work, and they work for the city or county, getting paid by the city or county, and live 50 miles outside of the city or county? How does that work for you? What are your thoughts on that? I am interested in getting your feedback, because it's going to be potentially one of the items that's on the referendum. And I don't really think, well, you know what? I'll reserve my thoughts, because I want to hear from y'all. Because here's what we're saying, that there could be a police officer that's recruited by the Memphis Police Department that lives in Tipton County. Izola's on here. She lives in Tipton County. God's country, beautiful land out there. Love it. But if you have a person who lives in Tipton County but works in the city as a Memphis Police Department officer, how does that work if they're not, hey Fred, if they're not living in the city where they work, and they work for the city, and they are law enforcement? What are your thoughts? Would you agree that they can do that so that the city can cast a wider net? Is the philosophy of recruitment? Or do you believe that if you work for the city, that you should work and live in the same city and county where you work, so that you are invested, you're part of the community, that you're paying the taxes into that process and into that governmental fiduciary cycle? What are your thoughts? Hey, Linda, how you doing? So I'm interested in knowing what y'all think, because this is coming up. This is going to be one of the things we have to give our input on. And I want to hear from you. What are your thoughts? If you have a Memphis City police officer who can live 50 miles outside of Shelby County and still work for Memphis City Police, are you okay with it, or do you think that that's malarkey? What you know? Tell me what's good. I love to hear what your thoughts are, because I'm going to tell you what my thoughts are in a minute, but I'm interested in knowing. So the philosophy is, it casts a wider net for recruitment to have officers that work in Memphis City Police Department live 50 miles outside of Shelby County. And then the other side is that you want to hire people who are part of the community, that they live in the community where they serve. And so, are you for having Memphis City police officers being able to work or live 50 miles outside of Shelby County, or are you against it? That's what I want to know. Y'all tell me, because I'm interested in knowing your thoughts. And I'm grateful that it's Friday. And while y'all are weighing in on that, I want to know, tell me something, Cam, I'm going to read your comment. Tell me something that you're thankful for Friday. Thankful for Friday. Okay, Cammy said, if law enforcement officers don't live in the community, they don't know the people, they're not invested, they don't feel a sense of community. Okay, that's a really interesting perspective. And Cammy, I'm going to tell you something. I was waiting for somebody to comment, and you guys are bringing it. So that's awesome. Officers should come from the communities they serve. Isola says I think there's no problem. I work in Shelby County and live in Tipton County. I was denied promotions because of this. I think I was an asset to Shelby County. Okay, interesting perspective. I think they should live in Shelby County. Hey, Bobby Phillips, how you doing? So I think for everyone that is a Shelby County employee, it may not be mandated. But I think for law enforcement, I think that they should not be able to work outside or live outside of Shelby County. And the thing for me is, with law enforcement, especially now, there was a program, and I don't know if this still exists, but there was a program, hey, Bobby, there was a program that existed where police department, law enforcement officers with the city of Memphis they had an incentive where they were given the opportunity to Okay. All right. Well, hold on a second. I'll read what you're saying, Elaine. You have a statement and a question. Okay. Comment. You take care of what you own. And the question, what kind of person will you get from rural communities? Okay. Well, let's talk about that, because we have a person who, not a law enforcement person, but a person who lives in Tipton County, who used to work for Shelby County, who's a fine person. But now here's the thing. So the comment is in alignment with what you were saying for you take care of what you own, is you're invested in the community. So if you're invested in the community, then is the thought then that you're more likely to take better care of the community because you have that investment? Or is the likelihood that hey, Rhonda Logan, how you doing? Talk about fantastic representation here. All right, District 1, I see you, Rhonda Logan. Thank you for joining. And so the question now, Rhonda, you just joined and a couple other people just joined, is do we feel that yes, we agree that there should be recruitment of Memphis City Police Department officers outside of Shelby County, or do we disagree? And so that is what we're talking about right now. And so Elaine brought up a point that you take care of what you own. That people, hey, Derek, people have said that you absolutely want to you want to be a part of the community where you serve. And so then what are the benefits of having someone be in the community where you serve? And on the flip side of it, the question is, how do you recruit that? And then what kind of people do you get if you're in rural communities? So I can tell you, I know delightful, lovely, smart, dedicated people who live outside of Shelby County that are still in Tennessee, in Tipton County, and in Fayette County. However, I will say that I think that the level of investment for law enforcement is different than a person who is working in some other capacity in Shelby County that works as a Shelby County employee. So I want to know from you then, is the philosophy about you thinking that they take care of what they own, that they will be in a better position to know who the people are? Will they be more empathetic to the plight of the people? Or should they have that no matter where they live? That's the question. Because if you have a person who's a phenomenal talent, who's a dedicated police officer, who's focused on doing better work as a police officer in law enforcement, that lives in Tipton County or lives in Fayette County, but wants to do the great job, then would we rather have that person, or would we rather have someone who lives in Shelby County but is not as compelled? It's a question. That's why we're here. I want to hear what y'all got to say, because is living in Shelby County enough? Is living in Shelby County enough, or do we want to be able to say, by expanding this net and giving us a 50-mile radius, that we allow ourselves the opportunity? Okay, Rhonda said, great topic, thanks for sharing. We need to have discussions often and on a large scale moving forward, because this will be on the ballot for the voters. Right, Rhonda, that is why we're talking about it. That is why I'm using this platform now, because I want people to understand. And when you join in, I said that this is going to be something that we have the conversation about. I want to talk about it now so that people will know where they stand and understand what is being recommended. And so the thing for voters is, we can't put ourselves in a position where we vote on something and we're not educated, right? That's been the issue forever, that people have been voting on stuff and getting names for people and voting solely on name recognition. Well, that's not enough anymore. We need to be educated. So that's what I'm doing today. I'm bringing this to the table. I want to make sure that we understand fully, and this, because it's one of the things that we will be voting on, is why I want to talk about today. So I'm so grateful. Thank you for participating. Okay, wait a second. We got some more comments. Let's see. Okay, so Elaine said no. You're saying no, that it won't make a difference if you got somebody. Okay, so then Isola said 50 miles is nothing. 100 miles might make a difference. I also moved to Tipton County and worked in Jackson, Tennessee. Your skills and experience is the most important element. All right, I love this. This is fantastic. Okay, so how do you evaluate character? All right, well, how do you evaluate character? How is that determined? Is that part of the thing? Like, how do they determine what the prerequisites are for law enforcement recruitment? I don't know. How do you determine character? How is that considered? Is it a factor in what we're doing? And then if you think that the 40 or 50 miles is nothing, then does that impact how quickly a law enforcement officer would be able to get to, if they had to come on duty under emergency circumstances, if they had to respond to a call? What are some of the underlying issues that makes the 50 miles nothing? And then if you are thinking about character, are the questions that you have now potentially all just kind of qualitative and behavioral questions in addition to the training? How is character determined for an officer? Because I venture, and I'm playing both sides here because I want to have a good discussion about this, is if you have someone who's in a position where they can come in and assimilate themselves, like they have the character, then, and they don't, or they come in and they start out good and then they end up becoming jaded over time, where they live, how does that matter where they live? Let me see, what did you say? Elaine said trial periods should be enforced in random, unannounced evaluations for new hire work relationships. Okay, well, I'm going to talk about that. I want to know more about that. And you said, VJ, yes, it's important to understand the issues so we can make intelligent and informed decisions. Thank you. That is my absolute goal. Okay, so going back to the trial periods. So I need education here on how this works. If you're a new officer, you go through training, you get through your process, then you have a trial period that is 90 days, a year? I'm not sure what it is. I think it's longer than 90 days. I need somebody to correct me on that. But then how do you determine that? And is there a process in place, or is that something that we need to ask for there to be some type of accountability? And then who makes that accountability, the citizens or the police? All right, let's see. Numbers are not as important as character. Okay. And you're saying the number of employees or number of officers isn't as important as the character. So you'd prefer to have fewer officers with good character than more officers with kind of semi or mediocre character. And then Isola said you evaluate character on the basis of work history and references. Okay. And so if you have a person that's coming in and they're new and they're young and they may not have yet determined, how do you do it then? And then Linda Wright said, if a person is qualified, it should not be a problem. All right. So Rhonda said the recruitment and hiring process is on their website. Okay. Thank you, Rhonda. That is great information. So based on that information, then is how do you measure character? How do you measure character? Because qualifications can be checked, right? You can look and see if someone has enough experience, if they got the training, if they have the education. But then character is fluid. Character is fluid. And so if you have someone who is in a position where they are, let's talk about the logistics of this now. If, let's say they meet the qualifications, naturally they're hired. But then if they are already hired and they move outside of Shelby County, what happens then? What happens then? If they have a fantastic opportunity to move on to some land in Tipton County or Fayette County, what happens then? Anybody? Because then do they lose their job? How do we police that? You have to maintain the update records. We know that in the same way that there are people who were getting addresses so that they could have their children eligible to go to certain schools in certain zones, that may be a potential, or worse yet, somebody that we know, we even had some people who are, who've modified their addresses and used family members' addresses so they can be eligible for other things. Let's see, Elaine, what you say? Your references really need to be on the job, because once you give someone the power to take away one's freedom, they can truly change. Interesting point. So it's really not about where they live as much as it is about the power that they get, and that the power they use over other people they interact with. And you want them to feel empowered to better the community, or you want to make sure that you're not putting power in the hands of those that are not responsible for the community and responsible to the community. I'm interested in knowing more about that. And then the idea for me is, if you were going to have to vote on this today, would you vote for it? First of all, Rhonda, I need you to educate me on one thing. Do we get a chance to decide if it's even going to be a consideration for us to vote on, or will it automatically be on there and we have to vote? Because if we can tell the city council and the county commissioners, we don't even want this on the ballot and it's off the table, do we have the opportunity to do that? And then if you were going to vote about this or on this today, what would your vote be? Yes, it's okay to cast that wider net and let people come in because it doesn't matter where they live, or no, you absolutely want people that are hired in to be law enforcement for Shelby County residents to live in Shelby County? What would your vote be? That's what I'm interested in knowing. And I would love, this has been fantastic, because I would love to see what you think if you're for it. A couple of you, Linda and Azola, you said that it doesn't matter where you live. So then if they, let's say they pass it and they say you have to be in the county and someone moves, then what happens? How do you manage that? How do you manage that? I'm interested in knowing that, because the references is one thing. And most time people take, like, literally, if someone called me and said, Tracy, I need you to be a reference for me, I take that seriously, because that's me basically saying I'm putting my brand, I'm aligning my brand with your brand. And if, you know, has this happened to you before where you said, okay, yeah, that person's great, and they get there and cut up sideways and go wrong like 2 left feet, and you're like, what the heck? That's not who I knew. So then how do you do that? And for new recruits particularly, how do you manage the reputation of those? And then if you get someone that is, and this is another part, from a different police department, and they've had a number of infractions, but the system's wiped clean and you don't know that, and they move in Shelby County, then how do you manage that? That's what I'm interested in knowing. Y'all give me your feedback. I'm open. I'm wide open, because I love having this as an opportunity for us to learn and grow from each other. Because the thing that's interesting to me is the 2 people have commented that it shouldn't matter, that are the 2 people who live outside of Shelby County. And for the people who, I would love to hear from someone who is outside of Tennessee, what their vote is. If you would say that absolutely yes. That's what I'm interested in. Let's see, Elaine, you said you would vote yes, but you would give those inside the city an extra incentive, like take home cars or stipend. Okay, so now that's an interesting take. As I was saying, I think before Rhonda joined us, that there was a program previously where there was an extra incentive for police officers to live in the city, that there was some housing accommodation. Am I right? That seems like that was so long ago. Y'all help me, because my brain is fuzzy on that, but I remember that because the neighborhood where I was in, there was a police officer that lived on our street that was able to obtain the house by taking advantage of whatever program there was or incentive there was for police officers. And then here's the thing, to your point, Elaine, oh my gosh, think about how much of Officer Next Door. Okay, and is that program still in existence, or have they phased that out because of budgetary concerns or whatever? And it's still currently in place. Okay, so then that seems like that's a really attractive incentive, but people aren't taking advantage of it? Because if they had the Officer Next Door program coupled with you being able to take your car home, if I'm an officer and I'm recruited in that, or if I know that there's a possibility for me to be eligible for that after whatever time, I can get a house and I'm driving the car. That is me literally having a phenomenal presence in the community, right? Then you know your neighbor literally is a police officer. And talk about what a deterrent having a police officer's car parked in the parking lot. Excuse me, not in the parking lot, in your driveway or on the street in front of your house. That's a visual deterrent, is it not? I think that's fantastic. Are officers not taking advantage of that incentive? What are the numbers? I guess I need to, somebody help me. That's a phenomenal program. What's happening with that? And then here's the thing. If you work in the city and you live in Shelby County, you're eligible. Okay, so let's see this. And I don't know that this is something that we can ask to add on. Rhonda, you're my go-to person for this now. That how does that work? If they modify it, then is that how it would work? Let's see, Elaine, you said the houses zip codes, they took off the choices. Huh? So they don't have a choice? Okay. I'm confused now because this sounds like a really great program. And I know that there are probably some options for people to own houses that, oh, it's a federal program. But that's okay. So then, it's just a great program. But to your point, if there was the option to have officers next door and then be able to drive their cars home for those that live in Shelby County, that's like fantastic. That's a no-brainer. Hey, Kimberly Donaldson, that's a no-brainer. VJ, you said it's a great program, but it also makes the same officers targets for unsavory people. Okay, so now that's a completely different approach and a fresh new perspective. So how do you think the unsavory people would target? Do you think they would literally pursue trying to get the officer out of the neighborhood? Or do you think that they, tell me more. Let's see. Okay, you said something here, VJ. You said that may be why officers aren't taking advantage of the program. So you think that by them being in the program and that, let's say they move to a house in Midtown and the people know they're police officers. So then you think that like their house may be a potential threat. The police car, if they were able to take the police car home, it would be a potential threat, or just the fact that their presence was there would be a problem for the neighbors if they were the unsavory. That's what we're calling the unsavory. We'll say potential criminals and potential criminals would be in pursuit of targeting them. And so I guess I'm looking at it with, let me take these rose-colored glasses off, right? Because I'm looking at it like, if you're in the community and you have a house that has a police officer in the house in the neighborhood, would you think that they would say, okay, nope, we're not going to be bothered with that? But you're saying the opposite, that the unsavory would then make the police officer's home and family a target. I know, Isola, right? Isola says there's so many different perspectives. Integrity beginning at the top is essential. We have to remember that most things, hold on a second, let's see. That most things, that most things cannot be determined by either or. They should be exceptions to every rule. I agree with that. I just think that, hey Maurice, hey cousin, love you. I think that if the consideration, so y'all didn't answer my question, and so we got a lot of, one person responded, so I can't say all of y'all didn't, but I need to hear from you. If you had to vote today, yes or no, what would you vote? And Elaine says an officer has to have a place where they can decompress home. You work in a hypervigilant state, and you must come off that somewhere. Okay, I get that. So you think that may be one of the other reasons why officers, okay, so I get it. So if you, it's like the people that shifted from working in an office to work from home, that they feel like there's, depending on how their space is, that they don't have a separate space that is work that's specifically defined and compartmentalized to work as opposed to home. And so to your point, with the issue of the people that are sheltering in place and working from home have issues with not being able to separate the two, that by being in an environment and living where you're still on duty, even when you're home, would be problematic as an officer. Am I right? Did I understand that right? Yeah, it's like taking your job home with you. Okay, so then is the incentive for the housing enough and the vehicle enough to motivate you? And then if you got some type of financial stipend, would that be enough? And so the answer to the question is wide open, because there are a bunch of different perspectives. Like Isola said, you can look at this a bunch of different ways, but at the end of all of it, no matter how we look at it and slice it, this is going to be something we have to vote on, right? So what do y'all say? Are you saying yes or are you saying no? What are you going to vote? This is our popular vote today. I'm interested in knowing from all of you. And then we're going to wrap, because I like to try to make sure I maintain my 30 minutes. But this just it's so good. I'm so glad y'all engaged with me today, because I really want to know. And Rhonda, I am so grateful that you were able to join. If you're still on, thank you for participating. And Elaine, thank you for your input too. I appreciate all of you. And I'm interested in knowing, are you voting yes? Or are you voting no? What's going to be your vote? Because I want to know. And am I right that the new fiscal year for the city and county starts on July, or did it start in June? I think that's a part of what we need to make sure that people are understanding and educated to know too. And then Rhonda, I still need to get with you on our speed hump situation. Coronavirus made me getting that form and signatures a little more challenging, but I still want to talk to you about that. So thank you for answering that beacon call. Y'all voting? Don't go before you vote. Are you saying yes? Are you saying no? What you saying? Because if you are an officer and you've already got your house, you just need a job, and you live in Tipton County, but you want to work for Memphis City, should you be able to do it? Yes or no? Or do you not meet eligibility requirements and prerequisites because you are outside of the county? Are you voting yes, we should cast a wider net, and I don't care where you live, if you want to do the job and you're committed, or no, if you're not part of the community and you're not taking care of your community, you got to be in it to be part of it? I'm voting no. Which one are you voting? And I want you to know that I appreciate you while I'm saying this. Thank you all so much for joining me. And go ahead and tell me what your vote is. And if you can't type, you can give me an emoji, a thumbs up for yes and a frowny face for no. Or a tear, cry face. Whatever the emoji is, y'all know what I mean. Do we want police officers that work in Memphis City Police, MPD? Do we want them? Okay, so let's see. Elaine said, let me ask you this. How long in a 24-hour day would you want to be susceptible to dying, fighting, etc.? Hopefully that puts the officer's home in perspective. And yes, again, on the vote. Okay. And then Isola said, just vote for Corey Strong if you can. Corey Strong is a candidate she stands behind 100%. And if he is one of the candidates, then she's asking for you to vote for him. So your vote is yes, Elaine. Okay, got it. And that's a really good point. So how do you get a chance to make home a place of as a sanctuary? And that it shouldn't matter where you live if you can vote. You would vote yes. And Isola, you voting for Corey Strong. What you voting for if you voting on this? Is it yes? Yeah, Isola, tell people more about Corey Strong, because I don't know what he's running for. I know he's not in my district. And Linda, you said yes. And are you saying yes, Linda, because you live in Tipton County and you would want someone that was your neighbor to be able to work for Memphis Police and not be penalized? Because I think it's important for us to know. I think that's great. And y'all answer, let me see. I guess I can do a little recon while y'all doing that to see when is the when does the fiscal year begin? When does the fiscal year begin for Shelby County? I want to know that. What y'all saying? For Shelby County, I want to know. And then, do you know Rhonda Logan is my person? Rhonda Logan, my person for District 1. I appreciate you, Rhonda Logan, all you do. Rhonda Logan is my person. And let me ask y'all this while you waiting on this. You will vote yes as well. Okay. Let me ask y'all this. What's going to happen with the schools? And do y'all want to have somebody talk about that? They don't know what to do for Shelby County schools. What is going to happen to the school? So when does the fiscal year, I'm waiting for y'all to vote while I'm looking this up. What month? What is the month? Is June the first month? I think it is. It's giving me a bunch of stuff, because if that's the case, then we're already started in the fiscal year. So then that means that in the business plan for them that they factored in recruitment efforts, right? All right. So y'all, this is a follow-up. This has been a phenomenal, because I'm way over now. I want to be mindful of your time, and I appreciate your time. Thank you for taking out time to be with me, Tracy T, Coach T Rowe. And I want you to know this. You matter to me, and I appreciate you spending this time with me and being engaged. And I want you to know that this conversation was one that we needed to have, because this vote, for those of us that are in Shelby County, we will have to vote on this. So it's important for you to be informed, not just about this, but about all the things that you're making a decision on and voting, because they affect not only you, but your family members and friends in which the community that we all live. So please stay actively engaged. And if there's something that you want to discuss, feel free to send me a message and let me know, because I'll put it on the table. I'm happy for us to have this time together to talk about it. It's great to get the different perspectives. And listen, if you don't do anything else today, make sure you live like it's a gift. Thank you for your time again. I look forward to time we'll spend together live at lunch. Have a fantastic Friday. And above all else, live like it's a gift, because it truly is. I'll see you on Monday. Have a wonderfully blessed weekend.